So, hello everyone. I'm so happy to have Erika Neal here. I met Erika, actually, it's also 2 years ago in Ireland. We met the first time in Ireland,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now again in New Zealand. And
Mm.
I enjoy your session. It was so beautiful. You introduced us once more. I've seen you doing it before, but this one was really fun. So much movement and music, and you were talking about humanitarian havening. So I'm so happy to have you here. And as I did with our other trainer colleagues, is how did you get to know about havening? How did you get into it? I've read you're a health practitioner. You have a huge background with different practices. So how did you get into it?
Well, I was learning about a lot of different psychotherapy modalities because I'm always looking for new tools to help people. And I actually was participating in a webinar, a psychology webinar that was free. And there were two speakers on it that talked about havening and that led a havening exercise. So I experienced it firsthand twice. And immediately I thought, wow, this is really special. This is really fast and pleasant and effective. And I thought, I want to do this. I want to become a practitioner immediately. I even knew right away I wanted to be a trainer. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just, sometimes you come across something and this is me. This suits me very well. And
Yeah.
before that, I had already been doing EMDR and somatic experiencing and sensory motor psychotherapy, and none of them hit me the way Havening did. So I
Wow.
fell in love with it right away.
Wow. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I know that you're sharing it worldwide. Do you want to talk a little bit about the how you got involved into humanitarian? You're one of the co-founder, aren't you, of
Yes. Yes.
Humanitarian Aid? What was the idea behind it? And maybe so people who don't know what it is, maybe you talk a little bit about that.
Well, before I learned about havening, I was doing humanitarian work in some places like in India and in Haiti and some local places to just help people with I worked in orphanages and places where hospitals for people that were dying, and I found it to be very gratifying. And I knew that EMDR had a humanitarian assistance program, and I knew that Havening should have one also, and it hadn't developed one yet. So I talked to Irene Hajisava because I knew she was doing humanitarian work with 9/11 victims and
Mhm.
other kind of police place victims. And she was working with Eugenia Karahalias. So I talked to the two of them, and we decided to develop a program for humanitarian havening training so that havening practitioners would know what to do when they go to places that are suffering due to a crisis or even due to poverty. So that's how it began, and that was about almost 3 years ago, actually.
No, no.
Yeah.
And so it developed from there. And I remember last year I've seen you traveling around, and also you shared some photos and some videos of um, sharing it with people in Africa. I think it was Africa, I remember.
hmm Yeah, I wanted to take it to places that were far away where they would really appreciate it. I've been using it a lot in places that deal with poverty.
Mm,
So, different countries in Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda. And
mm,
every place I've been, I've had a connection there somehow. Either it's been through a client who was working on the board of an organization, or a friend of mine knew somebody there, or we actually have one havening practitioner who lives in Kenya. So I stayed with her. So
mm.
there's always been a connection. And I've been mostly going to schools, and orphanages. And the main thing is to teach the people there how to do it so they'll continue with it when I'm gone. But I
Yes.
also ended up teaching it in Asia because I was visiting the Philippines and Thailand, and I just happened to meet people that were teachers or went into schools. And so I was able to go into schools and do the same thing.
Mm. What I really like, it's the lighthearted way how you share it. It's just seeing the videos and seeing the children and also the teachers doing it. It's just so, yes, it really touches my heart to see it. How you bring it to the world. How do you bring it to
Thank
those people?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a fun modality. It's so easy to blend it with singing and dancing and doing silly things. And the people that learn it are so receptive and want to have fun with it. So it's
Mm.
perfect. It's perfect to incorporate into children's lives and families' lives. And the place I've been to, I'm going back to actually very soon, is a center for young mothers.
Mhm.
So these are women that are teenagers and in their early 20s who have children. Some of them have several children, and they love the songs and the music, and they
Mhm.
love doing havening on their babies and the little ones, and it works really well.
I mean, because you shared it at the conference, and it was just really fun to have the music going, have a little bit of the dancing, and do the self-havening. So that was, yeah, it was really, really lovely to participate in that.
Yeah.
So now, as you look back and you got, I mean, you saw it, you experienced it, you knew immediately, I want to become, this is just you. And is there anything that kind of stands out for you? Kind of what you say, oh, that is just, if I think about Havening, that's kind of comes to mind first thing.
I mean, what's so unusual at havening is it's incredibly powerful as a modality for a practitioner with a client. I mean, it's most powerful in that way, and I use it all the time with my clients. It's the main modality I use, but it's also so helpful for self-care and for creating healing in a family. And
Mhm.
that's what makes it so extraordinary. And I would like to help promote both of those because I think we need to get recognition as an evidence-based therapy so that more therapists use it and more coaches use it and it's valued and has respect. It gathers respect. And then also that we bring it to families so that they know that they can help each other be their best and soothe each other that way. So that's the main thing that comes to mind for me is just the breadth of how much we can share it.
Mm. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
I just here where I live, there was just an accident over the weekend that a father was skiing with his 6-year-old son, and he has two other kids, and he died on the lope because he was run over by a snowboarder. And I thought, oh my goodness, is just so heartbreaking for that young boy to witness. And I thought, I mean, this is an extreme situation. But I thought, okay, I mean, that would be something that would be just so helpful for the family to really, yeah, soothe themselves and support each other and going through the grief and the whole loss with havening.
It's so
So,
true. And there's so much that can be done in many different ways. And, you know, when there's tragedies in places like Africa that don't have therapists, they need each other to help. And some of them have said to me, they do social therapy where they help each other. And I think havening could be very helpful for treating trauma if we figure out how to teach it to them in a safe way so that when they have tragedies, they can soothe each other and help each other get over these traumas.
and I mean, we know if people are being empowered to stay active in a crisis, kind of,
Mhm.
it is less likely that trauma is implemented or encoded
That's
because
true.
they do have something they can do with that. There's that. So,
That's true.
yeah.
That's really true. And so if we can educate them that whenever someone has a crisis to go with them and do havening with them and distract them and make them feel connected, we can help prevent traumatization and encoding.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if someone from the Haveni community or elsewhere, if they are interested in what you're doing with the humanitarian havening, how would they get to know? Is there a special program? Is there a special training? Maybe you want to say a little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, they can email humanitarianhavening at gmail.com, or they can go on the Humanitarian Havening website and they can click on their interest in learning more, or they can go to the regular Havening site. There's a page called Global Outreach and they can click on that. There's also a folder in the resource library that says Humanitarian Havening. So those are all ways that they can contact Humanitarian Havening, and then I will send them a link for a video training and a way of signing up on our list and having access to materials.
So they would, I will link all those links that you just said, so people can go there. So if someone is interested, that did I just hear it correctly that it's a V? They probably do have to do the Havening practitioner.
Yeah, we want people to be practitioner trained that go through our way of doing it. So they do that first, then they can watch our video about how to do humanitarian havening. And then there's some materials that they can look at. And then there's actually even a little test to take to get a certificate that they participated in it.
Mhm.
And then every once in a while we have meetings, but we have been actually working a lot with people individually that have an idea. We meet with them, or we meet with them and someone that they want to work with
Mhm.
together.
So that's it, it's meant that kind of people come to you and they have their own idea how they want to support their community or somewhere. So it's not so much like you kind of being organized and people come there and from there you take you recruit people to be able to go to places you're in charge of.
It's true. It's mostly coming from people that have their own projects they're interested in. Over time, if there become more of us, when there's a crisis, maybe we could reach out to people, but we don't have the density yet to do that.
Mhm. Mhm. So it's still growing, and
It's
I
still
mean,
growing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
wonderful. So you mentioned that you had like your own experiences. Is there anything that you'd like to share about, yeah, for people who haven't had been exposed to havening, how you apply it, how it worked for you, that you can
Hmm.
say, oh, this is just something that was really kind of an eye opener, or anything like that.
I have a bunch of different things to share with that. I mean, one is that I was a school social worker for a long time in a school, and so I ended up going to the school where I used to work and teaching havening to the teachers. And then Veronica Bovenzi, who's a practitioner in Montreal and Quebec, um, wanted to write a children's book. So she and I wrote a children's book on havening for kids, and then we wrote a book for teenagers. But the librarian in the school that I used to work at now reads that book to the kids in the school, and then they all do havening. And so that's kind of a very cool, that was a really cool thing that's happening. So if we can get it in the schools, and then we ended up putting the book for free on the website so that people can access it or get it from Amazon. Um,
Oh, great.
that was a
Is it
really
because I live in Switzerland in a German speaking area. Are there already translations of it?
We've translated it into French and Italian because Veronica speaks French and Italian. We could translate it into German. We just need somebody to do it or to look it over. We
Okay.
don't have that yet. Because Veronica herself could, and has friends that can check it in the other languages. So that's possible.
So
That's
there,
absolutely
if
possible.
there is someone out there who hears it and loves to do some good work and translate things into, because there's quite a German-speaking community growing now
It's
for
true.
the evening. So I could imagine that someone out there could be interested in doing this.
Yeah, that's true. We need a lot of resources in these different languages in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's
Yes.
true.
Yeah, I know because it even though many German speaking people know English, but it's not, they don't feel as yeah, they don't feel
They don't
as
feel as comfortable.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
uncomfortable. Yeah. So it's always
yeah,
good to have it in their mother tongue. So wonderful.
that's a good
Okay,
point.
great. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Anything else you would like to share with the audience?
I mean, every day there's something new that comes up. I was talking to someone yesterday about how if you have a problem in a relationship and you do havening on yourself, on the distress you have yourself about the relationship, how it will improve that relationship. How if we get better in general, how it makes other people better.
Hmm.
And it's so beautiful that we have a method that is healing and it's kind and it's pleasant and it's positive and it can have such a ripple effect. Even if we ourselves alone get better, that has a ripple effect. But also we can show it to our loved ones and do it with them. And then that has an exponential effect. So it's very exciting. And I feel like we're just at the beginning of the release of havening to the world and to see the power it can have and the impact it can have.
Yeah, wonderful. It is. It reminds me. Yesterday, I have an online class. It's called Embrace, and self-havening is part of it. And just yesterday, I had a live Q&A, and the feedback I got, it's just so beautiful because one lady said, because I tell them, sometimes people come back and say, this is what I'm doing when I take a shower in the morning. I just give myself those. So, and I didn't know it's called self-havening, but now as I'm aware of, and now they shared that when they apply the body lotion on their skin, it just feels completely different as they do it now consciously and just applying it with some intention of self-regulating. And I found this is it's so sweet to hear feedbacks like this. And it's actually that easy, isn't it?
That's great. That's so wonderful. Yeah, it's sensitizing to make them aware of the power of touch, and when they're aware of it, it works better.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And we're finding out more about the science, like see tactile fibers and like why, why it is that it heals us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's I when I read the study is that I was so impressed that it is like this. It's not the really quick one,
Right,
but it's
right.
it's
The
it's
slow,
the
soothing,
it's the
gentle touch.
slow one. It's I think it's 1 to 10 centimeters per second. So
Yeah,
it's kind of the slow one. The other one, I get nervous too, but if we do it in a gentle and slow way, there is something happening in our system. So
right.
that's lovely.
It's really neat.
Is I'm always curious about my trainer colleagues because what I'm hearing sometimes it's that they put some special focus on parts which they are very, I mean, they think it's very important that their practitioner really get it, or they just are in love with one of the practices. Is there anything, if I say, okay, I'm going and I want to be trained by Erika, that Erika just wants me to know?
Yeah, I'm thinking about so the first thing that popped into mind. This is very specific, but the power that outcome havening has, the many ways outcome havening there is with outcome havening to create empowerment and relief,
Mhm.
and how it comes down to the person feeling differently themselves about what happened. Not so much you're changing what happened, but that you're changing it so that the person feels differently about the meaning of it. I think that's one of the most powerful parts of havening, and also I guess role havening because some people are so frightened to use it, and so just demystifying it. And I was talking to someone yesterday about using role havening, like for using it, having the one person do both roles versus the practitioner playing one of the roles, the advantages and disadvantages, and it's fascinating. So those are two areas that I like to talk about when doing the training.
Yeah, the outcome havening for those who are new to here to havening, they don't. It's what I said, kind of changing my story. It's not really
Yes,
changing the story,
it's
but
your
it's the
story.
way. It's kind of the way how I have. As we said, when I have an impact, when I'm able to influence something that's happening, and it's more like the perception of it. It's not changing the event. The event is staying the same. But what we're able to do, and the brain luckily doesn't know the difference
Right,
if I
right.
just imagine or if I mean, we can use that in a positive and in a negative way.
Mhm.
But if we use it in a positive way, that we can really there's really something that happens and makes a huge shift in the perception and also the emotional attachment to that what happened. So I
Yes,
really enjoy that too. Yeah, it's rewrite. I call it like rewriting my story.
that's a great way to say it because it is. It's rewriting the meaning that it has for you.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the role havening, which I also really, really enjoy because I find it really powerful. The way I learned it from Tony Burgess, who was on also here in one of the talks, is with the third, like the empty
Empty
chair.
chair. Yeah.
And since I do the empty chair, it seems really accessible to people
Mhm.
because whatever they want to put on the empty chair and they want to connect and they want to have a discussion or an
Mm.
exchange with that, it really also shifts. So
Yes, it's profound.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'll take on the role of the other person so that the person can hear it from another voice. But
Mhm.
yesterday I was talking to someone who was mentioning when you sit in someone else's seat, you can think about what you like them to be. If they were their ideal self, what they would be like. And then it helps you start to see them like their ideal self.
Oh, that's
It's
beautiful.
so powerful.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I do, I'm coming from nonviolent communication. We had what we called the healing dialogue. And there
Mhm.
also you as the practitioner kind of go into it's not like a role playing, it's more like a role being. So you're in
Mhm.
that role, and from that with an open heart and compassionate way of dealing with the situation, you're talking from that energy. And it really makes a huge difference to be able to talk to each other like that. So I very often I being in that role, I always say, well, I wouldn't say something that this person wouldn't say. But what I very often do is exactly what you just shared, is connecting with the higher self or like that, how they would be, as you said, in their best way. And then in real life, they probably don't have access to that. But in that moment, we do have access to that.
Right.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
really,
wonderful
really,
shift.
yeah. I really like. I'll take that. I'll take that. So it's always a little bit of learning for me. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
I
learning from
really
each
enjoy
other.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really,
it's very helpful to talk about these things. We learn from each other.
yeah, absolutely. So, anything else you would like to share?
I'm hopeful for the direction of Havening that we can have more professional development, that we
Mm,
can have more advanced classes, maybe even consultations and
mm.
supervisions, and that we can get research programs started so that we have research studies and we get validation. And I'm really optimistic in the future of what we can do with Havening to become um, recognized and also very skilled at this because there's so many possibilities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was
You're welcome.
such a joy to have you on the call.
Thank you.
And yeah, all the best for whatever your next plans and your next journeys are.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.